All right, my timer started. Just final confirmation. Can you hear me? Can you put it in the chat box? Can people hear me? Good. Okay. All right. Well, output upgrade. I don't want to give too much away about what my talk's going to be about. Although if you've looked at the title and had to think about it, it's fairly obvious. I'm just going to ask Neil in a couple of seconds to play my first video, which is one of my adult FCE students doing a typical part one answer out of simple personal questions. And I want you, as you listen, it's about 30 seconds, I just want you, as you listen, to make a note, mentally or on paper or whatever you want, of good language the student uses, which you would praise, and any errors which you would pick up on afterwards, okay? So, good language you would praise, and any errors that you would pick up on. When Neil's ready, video number one, here we go. 30 seconds, thank you.
So Martin, what are some of the things you like doing at the weekend?
On weekend, I tend to stay at home, but sometimes I go to buy vegetables or something in the supermarket, and then to eat with the family. I think that are the activities I repeat all my weekends.
Okay, that's it. Can we get rid of the video? Great. There's something on the screen. Is that just me? Oh, okay, here we are. So, the first question is, would anybody like to put in the dialog box any positives, any good language which they thought Martin used? Just one or two things. In the dialog box, please. Anything at all? Yep, Anthony, I absolutely agree. Yeah, that was something we studied, so this guy listens, which is nice. Not always the case. Anything else? Let's wait for Alex W to say something. Anything else? Yeah, he repeated the language from the question, which you're not supposed to do. They're supposed to paraphrase or reformulate. Okay, I liked, there you go, that's what I liked. I like to tend to, and I also like to stay at home. Tend to is good because students tend to just use a simple adverb of frequency. They would say I usually or normally I tend to is much better. Of course, you would, when you're doing the input on when you're giving the feedback on the board or giving feedback on directly, you would emphasize that it's followed by the basic form. And I like to stay at home. Particularly Spanish-speaking students might translate I stay in home, I stay at house for the en casa, the Spanish version. So I stay at home was nice. He didn't elaborate on what he does. There's not really time in part one FC speaking. But of course you would tell them that after I stay at home, you would add the verb in order to describe what they're doing. I stay at home watching TV, I stay at home cooking a meal, whatever. Okay? Is everyone still following me? Great. Okay, so the other question was, were there any errors that you would have picked up on in his speaking? So again, in the dialog box, any errors that you would have picked up on? Yeah, vegetables. Of course, he didn't pronounce correctly. Vegetables. There was an extra syllable in there. He said on weekend, which is going to be one of the errors that we see on weekend. So he did try it, but he didn't get it quite right. So in my opinion, I would have picked up on this. He said on weekend at the beginning, and then he said all my weekends, which again is Spanglish. So I would have told him it's at or on the weekend. At the weekend, UK English. On the weekend, US English. And every weekend, when you're generalizing, of course, vegetables had an extra syllable. My students are more or less comfortable with phonetic script, but there you are, vegetables. And he said that are the activities, which is a simple, non-impeding, singular plural problem. That was just nerves and just not concentrating. Okay, so my topic is output upgrade. So the magic question is, which of his language was neither good nor bad, but just okay and could be improved? Difficult to think of it now, but I'll give you a few seconds. Can anybody come up with anything? Did you write down, or can you remember anything you said which was not wrong? It was not a mistake, and it wasn't amazing. It was just okay. I'll give you a few seconds. If not, I'll go straight into what I picked up on. Any ideas in the dialog box? Anything at all? Yep, I agree. And he could have said some vegetables, couldn't he? To show off his fruit and veg vocabulary, the lexical set. All right, it's hard to remember. So this is what I thought. He said, I think. He said, buy vegetables, and he said, sometimes. I think these for an FCE level student, particularly a good one like him, I think they're a bit basic, and I think that FCE students should be trying to do better than this, and they should be trying to go for more advanced versions. Once again, in the dialog box, the question is, how would you upgrade appropriately for a first certificate student? How would you upgrade these 3 pieces of language? Again, I'll give you a few seconds in the dialog box. What would you do? What feedback would you give to upgrade this? Very nice. Pick up a bit of fruit and veg. Very nice, very colloquial. Anthony, you'll see how by vegetables can be upgraded. Anything can be upgraded. You'll see, you'll see. Yeah, I reckon I really like much more natural. As far as I'm concerned, we'll talk about phrases like that. Perhaps a little bit formal, but very nice, particularly for part 3. Okay, well, time is of the essence, so this is what I would have suggested to my students, as Natty suggested, for I think other verbs like reckon, suggest, suppose, and guess, which do imply a little bit of uncertainty, perhaps, and are particularly good for the part 2 compare and contrast pictures in the first certificate, but still pretty good. And Natty, no, someone suggested, as far as I'm concerned, was it Natty? And I put, in my view, as far as I'm concerned, maybe a little bit too formal for part 1, where questions are simple questions. Might be a little bit out of place to use that and then talk about buying vegetables, but good for 3 and 4. I thought, yeah, Anthony said that maybe buy vegetables can't be upgraded. They may be expanded. Do the grocery shopping, do the clothes shopping. Run errands would be very good, and you could then expand run errands to do things like fetch a newspaper, pop out and buy some milk, give them some nice language, which again I think is appropriate for first certificate level. He said that he stays at home in the first answer, so you would assume that he's doing some household chores. Another nice expression, you could go into some of those household chores, such as do the ironing, do the laundry, wash the dishes. Again, infinite expanding as well as upgrading. That's part. They're also part and parcel of the same thing. And for sometimes, yeah, from time to time, occasionally, maybe every other, which is quite a nice flexible structure, every other week, every other day. And fronting, which is Anya's favourite. She's a big fan of fronting, which is where you put the answer at the back of the sentence. Instead of saying football is a sport I love, you say what I love, one activity I love is football. Cambridge examiners love that. They love the restructuring. Okay, time's of the essence. We're going to listen to a second answer from Martin, and we're going to cut straight to the chase. Please listen. The question is, what language was neither good nor bad, but just okay and positively right for upgrading? Okay, please make a note, and it's another 30-second video. Are you ready for Martin number 2? Great, thank you.
And in your next holidays, do you have any plans?
No press play.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And in your next holidays, do you have any plans?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet, but I think I will travel to Cusco, I think, in Bolivia, in Peru, sorry, and because I want to know Machu Picchu and all the things that there are in that zone.
Thank you very much. Let's get rid of the video. Get rid of the video. Is that okay? There you are. Okay. Oh, I just gave away the answer. I hope you didn't see that. In the dialog box, in your opinion, what language was just okay and could be upgraded? Any ideas quickly? I think I absolutely agree. And planning one's very nice. I don't want your suggestions yet of how to upgrade, but simply what would be upgraded. I agree with I want to. Okay, time's running out. Very good ideas. I would have picked up on this. I'm not sure yet. It's actually not bad for FCE, but could be improved. And I think I all too basic because I want all too basic. For these 4, any suggestions? What would you do? A couple of seconds. Anyone else? What would you do? Yeah, I like as for because. One more from anyone? Since, yes, you're reading my mind. So here we go. For I'm not sure yet, which is okay. I thought I still haven't made my mind up yet about something, which again is getting quite sophisticated for FC, but I think it's okay. Plus, in the feedback you would say, plus noun, verb, ing, I'm in two minds about the same. For the future, nice structures like there's a good chance I'll, it's highly likely I'll, again, just using future simple probably, so you're not learning any new grammar, just learning a new chunk. As and since, as people said, due to owing to the fact that, and again, just like as far as I'm concerned, maybe a little bit formal for part 1, but would probably still impress the examiner and particularly good for part 3 and part 4. Instead of I want something a bit more passionate, he's talking about visiting Machu Picchu. I'd love to, I'm dying to, again, both basic forms. You would emphasize that in the feedback so they've got the full structure. Maybe show a bit of grammatical range, my dream's always been to, show a bit of present perfect, which will come to grammatical range in a second. And of course, fronting again, Anya's favorite. One place I'm dying to visit is Cusco, instead of Cusco is where I want to visit. So I rushed through that a little bit, but loads and loads and loads of stuff you could do to upgrade, stuff that would still be reasonable for an FCE student. And so I'm going to try and finish off very quickly. This all comes down to the R and the A of the V and the G. This is not a line from a hip-hop video. Does anyone know what the R and the A, the V and the G refers to? Very quickly. Yes. Anya pretends that she doesn't know. She's been doing this for years. Yes. Yes. And the G, I just mentioned the G. Thank you very much. Anthony is the only one who knows what he's talking about. Range, accuracy, vocab, grammar. So they've got to show off in the first civic exam. And of course, in real life, we want to show off. We want people to be impressed with what we're saying. So using these different structures is showing a great range of vocabulary and using things like the present perfect, my dream's always been, and using fronting, you're showing grammatical dexterity. And you're going to get loads of points with an examiner, or you're going to impress the person who's in front of you in a real-life situation. Just to finish off, what do students need to be wary of when they're learning some of these adaptable chunks? Anyone in the context of an FC exam and possibly real life? Thank you. What do students need to be a little bit wary of if they're going to use these structures? Yes, context's got to be right. Anything else? Privacy, yes, of course. As far as I'm concerned, and due to maybe a little bit formal if you're talking about buying vegetables. And of course, Cambridge, and I think people in real life don't like it when you sound like you've learned something by heart, Cambridge in particular, but also when we're speaking to someone who's a language 2 speaker speaking our language and they come out with pre-prepared chunks, it sounds robotic and it sounds artificial. So I try and encourage my students to use intonation naturally, occasionally, the rise to the full, for example, stress, particularly with fronting. One place I'm dying to visit is a natural speed, because when they've learned these chunks, the tendency is to reel them out. One place I'm dying to visit is reel them out too quickly and they sound artificial. And when I was a Spanish student at university, I even faked hesitation. I had my phrase perfectly in my head. I knew it back to front, but I faked, but I didn't know. So I said, it's highly likely I'll, to make it sound authentic. That's it, everyone. I've gone over time. I'm really sorry. Just about giving feedback, expanding, developing, upgrading within the range of what could be expected from the student. That's it. I hope it's been useful.
Excellent stuff.
Super segmental features.
Very much.
Come back to that later.